Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. Now, the federal government of Nigeria has inaugurated a 10-man inter-ministerial committee to enforce the Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy. Now, the Supreme Court had on July 11th granted local governments across the country autonomy. An apex court, a 7-man panel, in a judgment delivered by Justice Emmanuel Agim, declared that the 774 local government councils in the country should manage their funds themselves. Now, joining me at this time to discuss this is the special advisor to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs, in person of Terrence Kuanum, is joining me virtually. Thank you for your time, Mr. Terrence. All right, let me start off with a statement by the Director of Information and Public Relations, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. That's Segun Imoesin. He said that the government has set up a committee for the implementation of the judgment. Now, in that statement, I'm just going to read an excerpt of it. It said the Secretary to the Government of the Federation has inaugurated an inter-ministerial committee to enforce the Supreme Court judgment delivered on 11th of July 2024, granting financial autonomy to local governments in the country. I would like you to please expand more on what this particular committee is all about and their mandate.
Thank you very much. Like the President stated in his address very clearly, that he wants the dividends of democracy to get to the grassroots of our country. And we are all witness to the challenges that we have as a government trying for the palliatives to reach out to the grassroots. Some states we had to receive complaints that the governors did not use the proper sharing formulas and XYZ. And so the government felt that as a government they need to be responsible enough to be able to reach out to the grassroots. And we've been having challenges of regretting the local government system because of the arrangement that was made in year 2000 during the Obasanjo-led administration, where they have to introduce the joint account for funds to be sent to the states, meant for local government, will be managed by the states, and that has become a challenge. And so the president needed to give the local governments autonomy to the extent that monies for federation accounts will be sent to local government councils, and the local government chairman will be responsible and held accountable for these monies. Because we've been having back and forth of money sent to the local government, rather being accounted for either commissioners for local governments or advisors for local government, and it has become a challenge. The people that are elected or appointed to man these local governments are not being responsible enough, and there's no development at the grassroots. So no matter the efforts made at the center, it is not being felt impactfully at the local levels. And that is why the government took the bull by the horn to go to the Supreme Court to get the judgment. And now it has gone ahead to set the interministerial committee so that the indicators of implementations will be laid bare, so that after 90 days expiration of grace given to the states and local governments, all federation accounts monies meant for local government will be sent directly to the 774 local government accounts.
All right. If of course I got you correctly, basically the committee is set up not just to enforce but also to ensure accountability, particularly how these funds are disbursed and used. Could it also be as a result of some of the issues being highlighted earlier as regards the implementation of this directive, particularly in the area of payment of salaries and some logistical problems, which was earlier identified?
Well, you know that by bundling these monies into the joint account was the creation of the law. And so despite the judgment, there needed to be some legislations to unbundle the arrangements in the joint account and XYZ. And so the responsibility of the ministerial committee is to look at how they'll be able to unbundle the joint accounts that we have across the country in the 36 states, so that monies will be sent directly to the local governments. The committee have met once, and the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Planning, and all those responsible are going to unbundle all these indicators, and so that the committee will be able to work round the clock. The governors are represented on the committee. The local government chairmen are represented on the committee. And so it is going to be a committee that is going to totally agree on how to unbundle these loopholes that are going to be encountered in trying to send monies to local government. And so it's a committee that is going to work technically and legally to unbundle all those legislations that are like a stumbling block in trying to implement this autonomy.
All right. Now, one caveat, of this directive also has it that elections must be conducted, across these local governments. Is the committee also looking into that?
Yeah, our laws does not allow for caretakers to man the local government. If an elected council is not in place, there is a Director General Services and Administration, and in some cases, the Director of Personnel Management is supposed to be the head, because even when there is an elected council, the DGSAs are the accounting officers of the local government. And so the political arrangement of bringing politicians to come through appointments and manage the local government system is illegal, and monies that are meant for those local governments cannot be sent to them if they keep on with that practice. And so this committee is going to make it clear to the states that if you don't have an elected council and you insist on having a caretaker committee, monies meant for your local government will not be sent to them.
All right, Mr. Kuanum, we need to go on a quick break. When we return, of course, we'll pick up from where we stopped. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we are talking at the moment about the Local Government Autonomy Directive by the court and the committee set up by the federal government to ensure that this particular court order is obeyed and, of course, implemented. I still have with me the special advisor to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs, Mr. Terrence Kuanum. Thank you for staying with me.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, one issue that you did, highlight as an objective for this committee is to ensure that local government gets their funds, and you also hinted on accountability. But there have been cases where some local government, like in Ibadan, for instance, are saying, you know what, we still want to be affiliated with the state government. Is the committee also taking that into consideration?
Yeah, all those indicators are going to be put on the table and to be discussed. And like I told you, the governors are represented, the local governments are represented, and it's not going to be an exclusion anywhere, because the local government system is separate from the state government. And so the local government cannot, through in whichever law, be insisting to be with the local government. The local government is accountable to the people within its area, and it's a different arm of government. It has its own legislators, it has its own executive, and they have their FNGPC to allocate monies for projects and be accountable to their people. And so maybe the person who made that statement does not understand the system. But this committee is going to unravel all those things. We're going to do advocacies for people to understand exactly how the local government system works separately from the state and the federal government. And so by the time this committee is done with their job, all Nigerians will be able to know how these separate governments work and how governments are going to be accountable to their people right from the grassroots. And projects will emanate from our grassroots, and securities will be managed better by this local government chairman, because they are the chief security officers of their local government. And by the time they are able to manage securities themselves, security will be taken right there at the grassroots. And I think we'll be able to get better intel to be able to fish out even criminals from our hinters, because at the moment that the local government system are moribund, it is always quite difficult to be able to get such inters because the local governments are not operational. And when the system compels it to be operational, they are going to be in their headquarters, in their base. They are going to be working with their councillors. They are going to be working with their supervisory councillors. And people will be coming to the councils from the kindreds to the clans. And I think they will have better reports and understanding of what their people needs and how they are going to secure them.
All right. Now, Mr. Kuanum, I mean, you talked about the local governments also, putting their weight behind ensuring that there is security, particularly at the grassroots level. My next question to you is this. To what extent can residents, of local government hold their local government to account, particularly when it comes to projects and services? Because there's usually some sort of, I call it mix-up right now as to projects that are meant for local governments and projects meant for the state government. Can you just sort of give us, a bird's eye view as regards what we as residents of a particular local government can hold our local government chairman now to account?
Yeah, it's quite easy because they are elected by the people. The people have a legislatures who are represented by councillors from the various council wards. And the legislative house has the powers to hold the chairman to be accountable to the funds that are accruing to the local government through the federation account and their revenues. The local government systems have a budget that is presented to the legislative councils at the various local government council headquarters. And the projects are approved by the legislatures. There is oversight at the local government. And so the system at the local government works just the way the state and the federal works. Just that we have made our local government moribund, and it's looking strange how it is going to work. It's a system that is there, it's properly laid down in our rules, and nobody is going to tamper with it any longer moving forward. We are going to give them the autonomy that they deserve.
All right, I understand that we need to go on a quick break. When we return, we will pick up. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have with me the Special Advisor to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs, Mr. Terrence Kuanum. He, of course, is joining virtually. Thank you for your time and thank you for staying with me. Before we lost connection with you, I was asking the duration of this committee, and is there some sort of scorecard intermittently for each local government or local governments across states?
Yeah, the duration of the committee in the first instance is going to be 6 weeks. But the essence of the committee is just to, like I told you, is to unbundle the challenges that we're anticipating as we're about to implement the full autonomy at the local government systems. Because we just got the judgment, we just got the legislation, and as an executive arm of government, we are going into implementation. And that is why we have set the committee to involve all stakeholders that are going to participate in this implementation. And so ours is just to unbundle what is required to be done, and so that monies will go to the local government directly, so that development will reach Nigerians at the grassroots directly, and so that people that are heading the local governments will be accountable to their people.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the issue of security, which you highlighted, as part of what these local governments, might be looking into. Is the state, I'm talking about the federal government right now, considering the idea of state police, for instance? Or is there any works in the pipeline to sort of bring security to its down to its barest minimum? I'm talking at the grassroots level. Is there any sort of workings, in the pipeline? For instance, state police.
Well, the agitation of state police has been there. The autonomy has been given to the local governments, but that requires a legislation, and it requires stakeholders to be able to come back together as Nigerians to sit and take such decisions. And it's for the states to also come forward and let us know if they can be able to fund state police. That is the position of the federal government at the moment. And if they feel they can be able to fund state police, and if the stakeholders agree that that's the way to go, the president is a democratic person, and he goes with all decisions of democracy.
We'll go on a quick break. When we return, we have, of course, we'll pick up from wherever we stop. Stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Politics HQ on News Central Television. And I still have my guest with me, the Special Advisor to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs, Mr. Terrence Kuanum. He, of course, is joining me virtually. Thank you for staying with me, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Before I lost you, due to connectivity issues, I was asking, what is the position of the federal government as regards the scarcity of petrol being experienced across some parts or many parts of the nation?
All right, thank you very much for that question. We're trying to sort out the issues of subsidy and XYZ, and trying to revamp the local refineries. And so there's always a back and forth with industry players, but I think the minister and the government is on top of the situation, and I think the situation have reduced, and we don't intend that it should be back any moment soon. But what we are driving at is a permanent solution to Nigerian and having access to that commodity without hitches. And we also appreciate the local players that are also coming up with their own refineries to be able to cushion the effect. We know that in the long run, we are going to have a better deal at the end of the day because the president means well for Nigerians. It's just a challenge because it's what is coming to us newly. We have decided that what is meant for Nigerians should go to Nigerians,
okay,
and should not be retained for just a few Nigerians. If you could recall, before we came on board, we were doing 500 billion on subsidy monthly. And so today the money is pushed back into the system. And if the system is working, obviously the impacts will be reduced. And the challenges we encountered at the beginning of the removal of the subsidy, we're on top of them now. And we assure Nigerians that we will not be able to have that experience again in the coming year.
Okay, just in 30 seconds, I'm just going to, pick up from some things you said. You said the situation seems to be steaming down, but if you go across many parts of the country, there are still long queues, and people are finding it hard, including myself, to get petrol. So my question is, for how long will this linger till a lasting solution? Because it seems to be recurrent. So for how long will Nigerians continue to wait before there's a lasting solution? Well, and then number two, so that you can answer both questions, sir. There are also talks that subsidy payment has returned. Is that true?
Let me answer the second question first. We're not paying subsidy as a government. And those are speculations from people who are trying to sabotage the efforts that we are doing. And number two, like I told you, the situation is going down. I think by next week, if we're here together, we will not be discussing the issue of queue, we'll be discussing how the prices will be able to come down as we're able to reposition the industry for the benefit of all Nigerians. If you recall, Dangote gave us a date in August. He is going to start pumping PMS into the market. NMPC are assuring us 100% of October, Port Harcourt, and then BOA is coming up. And that's why I told you that in a very short while, we'll be having alternatives of whose fuel we're going to go for and the prices that is favorable for us. It's just a challenge so that we'll try and make sure that we're able to stabilize this industry once and for all.
All right. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Of course, I've been talking with Mr. Terrence Kuanum is actually the special advisor to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Public Affairs. Once again, thank you for your time, sir.
Welcome.
All right. At this point, we'll go on a quick break. When we return, we will be switching gears and talking about the NLC and its current challenges. Stay with us.